Hi, I'm new to DIY e-liquids, but I discovered this e-liquids recipe site and found it to be pretty good and quite a bit of help for making e-liquids, and thought I'd share a few of the things that I learned in how to use the site. You can find the site at e-liquid-recipes.com. If you just want to look up recipes, you don't have to join the site or get a user account. But the user account is free, and if you want to save a flavor stash listing all of your flavors that you currently have, then you need to create an account. To create an account on the Liquid recipe site, go to the upper right hand corner, there's a pull down there, and click on Create Account. This screen will pop up, you fill in your email and passwords. One of the things you might want to do is select the newsletter and receive it. You can follow people also on this that have created new recipes if you find somebody that's recipes you really like. I've selected use grams because I do recipes with a scale rather than drops. It's more accurate and probably a lot easier to clean up. Also, selecting use manufacturer specific gravities is a pretty good idea too. When you want to come back to your account, you just go up to user again and click login. One of the things that baffled me as I started into creating DIY e-liquids was what flavor should I buy, and the first thing I did was go to Liquid Barn and select the list of flavors and go through there and find things that I liked, but it turned out very few of those things were useful in any recipes that I could find. I'll show you another way to get that here. If you go in your user account and you go down to flavor list, that will pull up a list of all of the flavors, and you can see they have 120,000 flavors that people have entered. Now some are duplicates because it's sort of a free form here, but the way I think is interesting is to click on rating, and what that will do is sort by the number of stars that recipes have. But even better than that, if you select by recipes, you can find the top ingredients that are used in all the recipes of this 120,395. So if you select that, it takes a little while sometimes, probably quite a bit of traffic on this site. You'll see that the first ingredient that's used in most common ingredient is TPA's or TFA's Strawberry Ripe, and it's in 318,752 recipes. So sounds like that's a good ingredient to pick up. If you see that at the very top of a list where 300,000 out of 120,000, that says about 1 in 4 recipes on the average use that Strawberry Ripe. Now, obviously, if you're not a strawberry fan, probably not a good thing to get. But if you go down the list, Bavarian Cream comes in at second, TFA or TPA's. Sweetener, because quite a few e-liquid recipes include sweetener to bring it up to that sort of a commercial stand. The Vanilla Custard by Cap, super sweet. Now, you make some choices in here. You probably don't necessarily need to buy 2 different sweeteners. So pick whatever one you want, but know that the recipe will have one specific sweetener in it when you go to use it. Sweet strawberries near the top, cotton candy, sweet cream, and the graham cracker cheesecake crust is used in just about every graham cracker cheesecake crust cheesecake recipe out there. Vanilla swirls, of course, another great ingredient. Now, if you bought the top 10 or let's say 20 things off this list, you still don't have exactly what you need to make a recipe, but you've got ingredients that are in quite a few of the recipes. So next thing we'll do is take a look and see what it would take to figure out what additional ingredients you would need to have. While you're here, if you want to buy that item, you can't buy it through the site, but if you select Strawberry Ripe and click the button, you're logged in, it'll pop up a screen that tells you more about that particular ingredient. And one of the options on that screen when it comes up, and again, this site can be a little bit slow at times, one of the ingredients that comes up is a button that lets you put it on your shopping list. Now, I've already got that on my shopping list, something I need to buy more of. While we're here, you can make notes about that ingredient, and you can indicate what size bottle you last purchased and how much you paid for it. You could also enter specific gravity, and then if you had a single flavor mix preferred preference for percentages, you can enter that as well. So putting the cost and the bottle size, it's a little bit of a pain at first, But I think it's worth it because when you make your own recipe, it'll tell you what that recipe actually costs. And of course, don't forget to hit save there. But in the end, after you do all of that and you go and look at your shopping list, it'll show you all the things that you've selected that you know you need to go buy. So I've got cheesecake at the top of my list. I've got a bottle of it, but man, I'm in just the beginning of making juice. I burned through quite a bit of the cheesecake. I burned through at least a half a bottle. Also, you might find that some of the ingredients that are used a lot more commonly, you might want to buy a bigger bottle. Some things are used very sparingly, 1 or 2% maybe, and you probably don't need to buy a really big bottle of it. So anyway, this is how you keep track of what you want to buy, and you can put notes in there about the things you want to buy. So if I want to buy Fuji apple is on my list because that's used in one of my favorite recipes. You could put notes in there and keep track of things you're interested in there as well. As you start to collect ingredients, you can add them, as you start to collect flavors, that is, you can add them to your flavor stash. And that's a list of all the flavors that you own. Now right now, obviously I'm a new guy at this, so I've only got 61 individual flavors. But it's a real convenient way of keeping track of all the flavors that you have. I've already, even with this few of ingredients, I've already bought duplicates once or twice, not paying any attention to what I already had. So this is a convenient way to look and see, oh, I've already got this, and that's a very helpful way of knowing that it's something that you need. If you have a recipe, you can add it directly into here too if you didn't see it. But let's get off and look at what a recipe looks like. Recipes are kept under user and under my recipes. What's beautiful about, one of the beautiful things about this program is you can go find recipes that other people have made. And even if you're lucky, find a clone of something that you really like. And that clone can get you the start for what you want to buy for flavors as well. For me, I really like the Bad Blood God Nectar. This list can be sorted alphabetically, so if I go down to Bad Blood God Nectar, I can look and see what ingredients are in that. Now I've remixed that particular recipe for my preferences. I happen to have VG for my nicotine juice, and that's comes up as my option. That's probably a mistake. I probably should have bought PG because it's so hard to pour the VG out of the bottle, or out of the pipette in this case. But you can see that recipe's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ingredients in it. And peach juicy is a common one, so is super sweet, but orange cream as well. But some of the other ones, blood orange, maybe not as popular. Passion fruit maybe a little bit less as well, but some of them like sweet mango and sweet guava would be in the top list anyway. But that gave me a list of things that I had to have for a shopping list if I wanted to clone this recipe. One of the cool things about the way the recipe kicks out is it'll tell you what the milliliters are, and I was mixing for a 120 milliliter bottle, so I put 110 in it because of the space of the dropper and wanted to have some air for shaking it up. And I was going for a 70-30 mix. So you can see here on the side with my Nic juice being VG and my VG being a diluent, that's 67% for the diluent and 3% for the Nic juice for a total of 70. And the rest, well, this isn't 30, but the rest of the 30 comes out of the PG that's in all of the flavorings. One of the cool things that you do get out of here is the ability to find out what the price is if you've entered all your prices for the individual ingredients, and it can come out to tell you, well, this bottle of 110 milliliters that would cost me probably $50-$60 in a store would cost me $2.71 to make. Also, it tells me that I can make it. If it couldn't be made, there would a message would come up here and say you're missing ingredients. And a lot of the videos you see of people using this site, they have that, and I didn't really hear anybody explain it, but when I click it, it would then highlight the rows in here that I don't have ingredients for, and I could add those ingredients to my shopping list if I wanted. My case, what I would do is look and see, oh, I don't have a particular sweetener, but I do have another sweetener, and I would be able to substitute that. Another cool thing that this keeps track of is where the recipe was adapted from, because somebody else made this recipe to begin with, and I adapted it. So if we look at that site, that site's a little bit different. They have the passion fruit de la Passion Salub Arome Pardon my French. And I didn't have that, and it wasn't in my list, but I did have the other passion fruit, so that was a 1% for the other passion fruit, 2% for that French name one. So what I did in my recipe, and maybe this is good or bad, I don't know, is I bumped that to the one that I did have up to 3%. Well, maybe that particular ingredient is a secret ingredient that really makes it get a kick, but this recipe really matched the God Nectar, so I feel pretty good about it. Definitely a great experience for one of my first maybe 10 or 20 mixes, probably 20th or so, somewhere around there. Getting back to the recipe side of things, another way to go at this, I think, is to click back on the eLiquid recipe site. You see everybody else's recipe, that 101,272 recipes that are up on the site. Thought it'd be a pretty cool idea. Just click on rating and see what the top recipes are. One of the cool things you can do here is like Alyssa's, the top 2 recipes in terms of ratings for stars, and quite a few people liked her stuff. 368 people like the Busta-Nut juice. So you can click her name and then you can follow her here as well, and then any new recipes that she puts up, you'll get notified in an email, and then you can go check that recipe out. But let's go look at her recipe here for Busta-Nut and see what that looks like, because that's a pretty top rated recipe. So we see Bavarian cream, butter pecan, hazelnut, sweet cream, and a sucralose sweetener. Now when I roll down here, it says I'm missing ingredients, and as I alluded to, if you select that little check mark or little X next to it, it'll highlight the rows and tells you what you don't have. It tells me I don't have Bavarian cream, hazelnut, sweet cream, nor a sweetener. Well, I know I have a sweetener, and I know I have hazelnut, but I didn't buy them from, it's not a Flavor West version of it. And the Bavarian cream, I think I have a TPA or another, maybe a cap version of Bavarian cream. So if I wanted to take this and adapt it to myself, I would grab it, I'd click adapt this, and it would make a version of it for myself. Now, because I've set it for my defaults, it brings in the 110 ml bottle that I want, the VG nicotine, the VG PG mix, the strength of the nicotine itself that I'm using, as well as the recipe list that she has. So if I go ahead and save that recipe down here at save, it'll go and show it as my recipe. Well, it's really hers, but it'll keep track of where it found it, as we showed earlier. And what I can do then is click the missing ingredients, and I say, oh, I have to fix Bavarian cream. I don't have that particular Flavor West version of Bavarian cream. So to fix that, I go up to edit, and then it'll pull up the whole mix, everything in there. And I'll add a flavor. Let's see, it was Bavarian cream at 3%. Let's see what Bavarian cream that I have. Let's see, Bavarian cream. The cool part is it populates the list really quickly with what you have. Well, I have the TFA or TPA version of Bavarian cream. I don't have the Flavor West version. I'm just going to make the assumption that it's close enough and make that a 3. And the thing you have to be careful to remember to do is go up here and remove that. And now if I save that recipe, I know I'm still missing other ingredients, but let's see what I get there. I clicked a couple extra add flavors, but it really doesn't matter. I have to hit the save button, not the add flavor button. So when I do that, it comes back and tells me that those are the ingredients that we're at now. And if I click you're missing ingredients, I'm no longer missing the Bavarian cream. I also know I have a hazelnut, but it's probably not Flavor West. Can't be if it's telling me I don't have it. So if I click edit, and then I can do the same thing. I'm looking for hazelnut 7%. Let's see which hazelnut that I have in my collection here. Hazelnut, I've got TFAs. Let me enter that one, make it 7. Again, don't forget to delete the other one just by making it a 0. Save that. I could have done all these at once, but I'm just showing how this works. No, I'm still missing one ingredient, and that one ingredient is probably the sweet cream and the sweetener. Okay, I guess I'm missing 2 ingredients. Well, I have something like that sweet cream in my collection, so I'll do the same thing. I'll go up and adapt the recipe and go down to sweet cream, add, and let's see what cream I have. I have creme fraiche. Don't know if that's at all like it. Not experienced enough to know. Somebody will probably comment in the comments below if they watch this that I'm way off, but and just assume that they're close enough for what I want to try to do. Oops, I clicked add flavor again. Doesn't really matter. Go ahead and save it, and we'll fix the sweetener as the last thing. So the sweetener here, I don't have, I remember that. If I click it, it'll show that. And that's the sucralose sweetener. Let's see which ones I have. If I go up to edit, and their sweeteners are usually pretty small percentages. That's a 1% sweetener. Apologize for the screen rolling around. If I click sweetener, what do I get? Well, I've got super sweet. No idea if that is anywhere near that. 0.5 might be a better number. Sucralose might be weaker. That might be the case. I'll just try that, make the sweetener 0 and leave the suggested 0.5% of super sweet. So let's go ahead and save the recipe and see what we get back. Alright, now it's all stuff that I've got in my list of things because it says you can make this and there's nothing to click there, no little X. And I basically created a new recipe. If I had wanted to get something that I didn't have, I could click the recipe that was adapted, butter pecan, and then I could add to the shopping list. So if I really wanted to add that one to a shopping list right now, I could click it and add it to my shopping list. So I don't think you go far wrong by going to the home page for eLiquid Recipes, sorting by rating, and then looking down their list and saying, wow, ooh, pink lemonade, I'm all excited, that's what I want to make. Selecting that recipe, going down and saying, oh gosh, that has 8 ingredients, that might be a little too much for a first recipe, but straw and anna custard, what's that got? That's only got 4 ingredients, and at least 3 of those 4, sweet strawberry, strawberry ripe, vanilla custard, were all on the top list of ingredients to buy that we saw back on the ingredients part of the site. So that's probably a good place to start. Select each one of those, go and add them to your shopping list, and then once you get to your shopping list, just order the stuff off the list. There's quite a few places good to buy eLiquid out there. I've kind of been going with Nicotine River site recently. It seems to have most of the things that I want. No site seems to have exactly everything. There's another site that's a little cheaper on a couple of the ingredients, but I put together a list of 10 and ran them against that site, and Nicotine River came out cheaper. They have the advantage of being able to order also larger bottle sizes too. So not a bad idea to start a little smaller. This price doesn't scale up that much between 2 ounce and a 4 ounce, or 30 milliliter and 60 milliliter bottle, or excuse me, 60 and 120 milliliter bottles. But if you got a recipe that you just want to do and you think you're going to be successful, you can order bigger size bottles too, whatever fits your budget and your desires to experiment around. And I think starting with the top rated recipes, in particular, if you look down here, the Mama's RY4 Delight, which is a tobacco one, has top rated, but it's only got 42 ratings. So if you scroll down and found something that had a big number like the Busta-Nut, well, it's 4.5 stars. It's pretty good. 4.75 actually if you hover over it. And there's 368 people that thought that was pretty good. That seems like a pretty good recipe to try. And you probably really can't go too far wrong if you clicked on that recipe and you looked down the ingredients list and said, Bavarian cream, butter pecan. Yeah, that sounds like something I would like. A little bit of nut flavor from the, well, a lot because it's hazelnut, 7%. And cream, that's a nice dessert one. And if you like dessert ones, then that's probably a good list of ingredients to buy. A nice place to start in your journey. Anyway, wish you well. Might make a video or two if I learn a little bit more about the site, but it does seem to do the job for me. Have fun juicing.